Hello, and welcome to our webinar on Master Studies at KTH Royal Institute of Technology. My name is Kimberly Chang, and I'm an admissions officer here at KTH. And joining me today are...
Björn Bergen. I'm a regional director for Southeast Asia and also a professor at the School of Architecture and the Built Environment.
And I'm Diana. I'm a student, and I'm also the International Student Ambassador for the course of Real Estate and Construction Management.
During this webinar, we're going to talk to you about Stockholm, Sweden, and KTH. We will also talk to you about how you can make an application and all the next steps you will take after this presentation. Björn, do you want to get started and tell us why you should come to KTH?
Absolutely, Kim. There are numerous reasons why you should pursue a degree or renew yourself at the Royal Institute of Technology, but this would be my top 3 reasons to innovate yourself at KTH. First of all, the high level of education. We have a master's degree or numerous master degrees at the highest international standards. KTH has been consistently ranked among the top 100 universities in the world. We also like to infuse our students with innovative thinking and an entrepreneurial spirit, which is very useful. And furthermore, you have to spend, or you've got to spend 2 years or more at one of the safest and most livable cities in the world, Stockholm, my hometown. And I would like to talk a little bit more about Sweden, for those of you who haven't been here, or perhaps it was a while since you went to Sweden. It's renowned because it's very open and multicultural society with a long tradition of welcoming students and foreigners from all over the world. And for those of you who have not been here, well, it's a very large country, smack in the middle in Northern Europe, in Scandinavia. It's big. It's actually larger than Germany, you know. Size-wise, it's somewhat smaller than France and Spain, but the 3rd largest country within the European Union. The downside is that it's not too many Swedes, actually, only 10 million people. So it's a rather sparsely populated country. So if you go to the far north, you can go days on end without seeing anybody. You might bump into a reindeer or 2, but that's about it. And close to 1 out of 5 Swedes are actually born in another country, so it's kind of international. We do have 4 distinct seasons. Right now it's autumn, which is my favorite season of the year. You can go pick mushrooms, lingonberries, and what have you not in the forests. And soon winter will be coming, which is the cold season. And then comes, of course, spring and summer. But Diana, you're not from Sweden. How did you experience the different seasons?
No, I'm not from Sweden. I'm actually from Brazil. And as a Brazilian, I must say that the climate was the first big difference when I first moved here. But as you mentioned, these distinct seasons is really and safe, and I consider these really important aspects for a good quality of life. So I would say Sweden has a really high standard of quality of life. So yeah, I'm a fan. I really like Sweden.
That's so nice to hear.
Yeah. Have you experienced? Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Have you experienced Aurora Borealis yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I really wanted to go to Abisko, that is really up north Sweden. But every Swede that I ask about Abisko, they said, "What are you doing there?" He has nothing.
But you do need to see the Northern
Yeah,
Lights.
I really want to go and see and experience. But yeah, I've never.
And Sweden is considered a rather progressive country when it comes to gender equality and things like that. And it's also easy to get around, as most Swedes do speak English. So you don't risk the chance of getting lost in there. And let's move on.
Let's move on.
Okay, these might be some of the household names for people outside of Sweden, such as IKEA if you're a student. I mean, cheap furniture is all over the planet. And we also have a long tradition of manufacturing, such as Ericsson, Saab, and Volvo. Most people tend to know, or H&M if you're into clothing. Nowadays we have another sort of generation of companies growing up. Most people know Skype or listen to Spotify, which is actually a company founded by a former KTH alumni, I've heard. Or some and some of you might have played Minecraft or Candy Crush. I love Candy Crush. And actually also the modern pacemaker, which roughly 1 million people worldwide is using right now. It's also a Swedish innovation. So we've gone from a country dependent on a lot of manufacturing to a more innovative economy during the past decades.
I actually didn't know that Candy Crush was Swedish, but if you sit on the subway, you can
Yeah.
see that there are a lot of people playing. So.
Yeah, it's King. Fantastic company from the northern part of Sweden. And also to the left, you can actually see the Nobel Prize, which is awarded every December in Sweden, in the City Hall. And I think we're going to come back to that later on. But was actually founded by a Swedish entrepreneur, Alfred Nobel, the inventor of dynamite, who decided to donate his fortune to research. Neat.
All right, this is Stockholm. Stockholm is the capital of Sweden, and it is the capital of Swedish innovation and trade. It's home to around 2.1 million people, and it's known for its rich cultural history, and there are 26 city parks, and it's surrounded by water. As it is built on 14 islands, and you can see in our picture here all of the water around the city hall there. Let's move on. Stockholm is ranked as the 12th safest city in the world, and it's also the 12th most livable city in the world as well. Let's talk about student life. Do you find that, Diana?
Yeah, so Stockholm is home to around 85,000 students, which is proportionately big in comparison to the total population of the city. So I would say Stockholm is really student-friendly. Fortunately, all the fee-paying students and scholarship holders are guaranteed accommodation for the first year, but this is provided by KTH, and the students need to be aware of the application for it. But trust me, this is a really advantage for international students because it can be quite hard to find accommodation here. But students are guaranteed for the first year. I would also say that it's probably not the cheapest city to live as a student, but as I mentioned before, it's a student-friendly city, so there are student discounts basically everywhere. So from the public transportation to some restaurants, coffee shops, clothes stores. So you just need your student card and go look for discounts that it can save you a lot of money. So I think it's hard to bring a number of budget you need per month because I think the sky's the limit, and you can. It depends a lot of the type of accommodation you choose or the type of a standard of life you opt for. But we estimate something around $1,000 US, just use as a reference. But of course, it can it can be a bit more and a bit less, depending on your lifestyle. And these include housing, food, medical care, anyway, all the extras. But I would also say that transportation is really good. So wherever you decide to live, I'm pretty sure you can easily go to and from the campus really easy. I have my bike, and this is also an option, especially for students. So as long as it's not snowing, it's of course an option for students.
Neat.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing all of that useful information, Diana. Before we get into more practical details, let's take a look at the KTH campus. It's a mix of beautiful old and new buildings. As we can see in this picture, this is from the summer. So let's join one of your fellow students, Nicholas.
Welcome to KTH. My name's Nicholas, and I'm a student here. How about I show you around? So you might be able to hear just behind you, there's a stream of people coming out of the subway. They're all headed towards KTH's main campus. Check out these stone walls behind me. Perched on top of them is a sculpture of a Cerberus. They've been watching over our campus grounds for the past 100 years. KTH is the oldest and largest technical university in Sweden. Not only that, it's the highest ranked. So this building is the library on campus at KTH. It's one of the main places where students meet. In 2013, Barack Obama stood on this exact spot during his visit to KTH to learn about some of the most recent research in sustainable energy. So we're at KTH Entree, and let me tell you what, this is the place of all the spots on campus that you're constantly running into new types of people. So let's go take a look. So when you're brand new to KTH, this place is unbelievably useful. And the staff are really friendly too, like Molly.
Hey.
So we're on KTH's main campus right now, but there are actually 4 other campuses that KTH has, each one located throughout Stockholm and near an important industry node. This bustling courtyard is home to the School of Chemistry, Biotechnology, and Health. It's one of 5 schools at KTH, and as a student, you belong to one of these schools. But you're also able to take courses at other schools too. The Valhallavägen campus, which is our main campus, butts up right next to the Royal National City Park. So you're never too far away from a proper forest path, which is a great mental escape from studies. So here you can get a great view of the city. We're actually on top of what used to be a Red Cross hospital, but the building was recycled into what's called today the President's House. This building got its name because the office of the president of KTH is located here. So just know that if you're ever nearby this building, you just might run into her. Okay, it's a little bit colder down here. We're standing in the heart of Sweden's first nuclear reactor facility. Today, it's used for art exhibitions, theater, opera, and it's even been featured in a music video. New buildings are popping up all around campus to accommodate some of the 13,000 students studying at KTH. They're part of the city within a city feel that you get while studying here. People from all over the globe come and live in these student apartments, so you're bound to meet someone from a new place while living and studying at KTH. So our tour is not over yet. Next up, we have Celine. She's going to show you a bit about student life on campus.
Oh, that was Nicholas with the virtual tour. And now some facts about KTH as of today. To the left, you can see our king, King called the 16th Gustav, who is the patron and guardian of the university. In the middle picture is actually the newest addition to the faculty, also the buildings, which is the School of Architecture in the rusty metal building, very modern. And actually from the start, KTH has been at the forefront of innovation and technology. And as you could see in the picture, Nicholas went down to the nuclear reactor hall, which was actually operating in the 50s, until somebody realized it was a really bad idea to have a nuclear reactor in the middle of the capital. But now it's a fantastic place to be, to have concerts or parties or whatever you would like to do.
Can students visit?
No,
here?
they can't. Yeah, they can.
Oh.
They can actually. They can.
Nowadays.
Nowadays
Yeah.
they can. You go like 50 meters straight into the earth below the surface. It's a fantastic place. Kind of weird. The first television was also cabled from KTH in the 50s. So over the past close to 200 years, KTH has risen to become one of the leading technological universities in Europe. And we also saw the graduation place or the ceremony in the city hall. So it will actually celebrate today. It was 50 years ago since one of the professors in physics, Hannes Alfvén, was awarded the Nobel Prize in physics. And some facts about the KTH: 13,000 students on campus. We have roughly 2,000 PhD students, more than 300 professors and 5,000 in staff. So we have a lot of staff in comparison with the number of students. We're not the biggest, but the best university in Sweden, I would say, therefore. And now move on to the campus. Yeah, there you go. We're actually right now in the library, in the studio, with the friendly staff here. And Nicholas went over the courtyard. And this is the old KTH campus, which celebrated 100 years just 2 years back. You can watch concerts here by the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra we do have among our staff. And what else could you do here, Diana?
Yeah, KTH has more than one campus, so we can talk about this later. But I study here in the main campus, and I really like this picture because it really shows the connection of the campus to the city center and the city in general. It's really close to the city center. But on the other hand, it is also surrounded by green areas. Stockholm in general has a lot of green areas, but you can really clearly see in this picture how the campus is hugged by really nice green areas. And yeah, I really like this feeling. But as you mentioned, in the courtyard, I would say that would be the monumental entrance to the campus. And it's absolutely beautiful there. During summer days or like more warmer days, a lot of students hang out together there, have lunch, stock vitamin D for the before the winter. So it's a really good atmosphere. And once I took a picture there and sent to my youngest cousin, and she asked me if I studied in Hogwarts. And I said yes. But yeah, it's a really nice area to be. And it's right next to the library where Björn said we are. It's pretty close to the student union also, and this a lot of these buildings have many study places to be, from more noisy to more silent areas, group rooms, a lot of computers available. So it's a really nice place to be and study. Yeah, there's this accommodation area, also the sports center. There are big courts and a gym. You have a really good student discount in this gym.
Nice.
I used to go there more in the beginning, but now I'll go back there. So yeah, but yeah, as you can see, it's really close. It's really it's a really nice campus, I'll say. And also, I know it differs from course to course, but in my program specifically, I didn't have fixed building for the classes. So I basically had classes all over the campus and different buildings, you know, so it gave a lot of dynamism to the student routine, you know, and it was good to know most of these buildings from inside. So, yeah.
And we might also add that we have 4 additional campuses in and around Stockholm. This is the main campus in Valhallavägen. But we do have KTH Kista, which is the ICT cluster with thousands of companies within ICT, and also the headquarters of Microsoft, IBM, and Ericsson. And south of the city, KTH Södertälje campus is more into logistics, production management, and related matters. And also the large truck manufacturer Scania is there. And KTH Flemingsberg is more into health and technology. And KTH Solna, which is more into biotech and biomedicine. So depending on your program, you might be taking classes in different parts of Stockholm, but this is the main campus.
But it's really easy to get to the other campus as well. So
and as you can see, the public transportation, there will be buses and subway, is quite close.
Yeah.
So you can get anywhere kind of fast and cheap and safe.
And electric scooters are becoming really popular here.
Yeah.
So.
There's pros and cons for that. Okay, let's move on. Okay, Nicholas mentioned Barack Obama. Yeah, he visited KTH a couple of years back, and I was actually there. I didn't see him. I didn't get out of my office the entire day because they had sharpshooters on all the roofs. So we were advised to stay in our office. But here he is looking at some innovation when it comes to sustainable and renewable energy. And at the right, we have the famous Stephen Hawking. He visited KTH 2 years back on a conference in black hole theory, I've heard. And I actually saw him, but I was kind of starstruck, so I didn't dare to get up to him and take a selfie. But I actually saw him, so that was kind of cool.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, so a lot of famous people tend to visit KTH every now and then. KTH, as I said in the beginning, consistently among the top 100 in the QS ranking, for instance. And there are different departments or schools that might be higher ranked. I'm with the School of Architecture and Built Environment. We usually are ranked among top 25 or 30. as are other departments such as material science or mechanical and electrical engineering. So we are small, but we are at the cutting edge of research and education, I would say. Moving on to the structure, perhaps, of education. We have adopted the Bologna model when it comes to education, in that the first 3 years or undergraduate studies are usually taught in Swedish. We have one program in English in ICT. But what you're probably looking for is the master's degree, which is a 2-year program. And they have more or less the same structure, irrespective of the subject field or topic, in that you have 3 semesters with a combination of elective and mandatory courses. And you finish your studies with a degree project for 5 or 6 months. And if you haven't get enough, you can always pursue a doctoral degree as well here at KTH. But the doctoral master's program are taught in English as well as the doctoral program.
Yeah, I might add that this structure it's really different from my home country. Considering the calendar and the big holidays that is on December and January, so the opposite. But I like this structure when it comes to the fact that you have 1 year and then you have 2 semesters, and then on the semester you have 2 periods. So it's easy to keep up the studies going. So you have more or less 7 weeks of classes, and then you have the exam, and then another 7 weeks of classes, and then the exam again. So you cannot accumulate a lot and let study just in the end of the semester. So I like the structure the way it is because of that. So you can just keep track of your studies better. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. KTH has 5 academic schools, and we offer 60 master's programs within these schools, and 15 of those are joint master's programs, which are offered in partnership with other prominent universities around the world. Bjorn, do you want to get into the programs a little bit?
Absolutely.
Great.
I will start with the School of Architecture and the Built Environment, which is my school. We have quite a few different master programs. Obviously, Diana is taking one of them.
Yeah.
The Real Estate and Construction Management Master. But we also have other masters focusing on sort of viable cities or sustainable cities regarding transportation and other areas. How do we build a better future, actually? And also architecture, which is a very popular master program. How do you like your program so far, Diana?
I am actually an architect, but I was always more interested on the project management part of it, more than the design phase itself. So I know I can take advantage of my architect abilities, but my focus is more on management. So I thought this course was pretty suitable for me, not only because it's really focused on construction management, but it brings this real estate, economic, finance aspects as well. That is quite new for me. So it was a mix that I thought it could only add to the future career I'm pursuing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then we have the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. They have a few different joint EIT programs, which you said that was something in collaboration with European universities. You tend to spend 1 year abroad and 1 year at KTH. And so a lot from ICT, obviously, and some of these programs are taught at ICT cluster in Kista, or KTH Kista. Everything from the very small, such as nanotechnology, to the very big, like nuclear energy. And obviously AI and software being super important and very popular topics.
Yeah, I'll just interrupt you.
Yes, please.
To let the students know that when you mention Kista, it's actually with the K. So for the ones who don't speak Swedish, it's hard. We always read Kista.
Kista, yeah.
Kista.
That's a she word. Yeah. Thank you. And then we have the School of Engineering Science. And this is sort of traditional engineering. You build stuff, be it a railway or a ship, like a naval architecture, or a spaceship or fighter jets as aerospace. We also have the only astronaut in Sweden. It's also used to be a program director for some of the programs here at the Engineering Science School. Moving on, one of the newer schools, Engineering Science in Chemistry, Biotech and Health. Everything from polymer chemistry, which is taught here at the main campus, Valhallavägen, and other topics are taught at Flemingsberg, which is more into medtech and biotech, which is becoming increasingly popular research area, as well as for startups within KTH. And finally, last but in no way least, Industrial Engineering and Management. Here we have one of the more popular programs, being Industrial Management, where you combine sort of business and engineering. But also some of these programs are taught at KTH Södertälje in collaboration with Scania, the lorry manufacturer, for instance, on logistics and product engineering. So there's a wide selection of different programs depending on your interest and what you're aiming for, what kind of career you're aiming for. So should we move on to the admission? No. Oh, studies at KTH. This might be different depending on where you're from, what you have taught on your undergraduate studies. Master programs tend to be smaller. Depending on what program you're taking, a course might be 30 to 40 students, or up to 100 perhaps then. So a very personal approach to education. And we also try to foster the entrepreneurial spirits among our students to take courses in entrepreneurship and to be more problem solving like engineers. And we also have a structure of courses that are based on different sort of, a lot of lectures obviously, but also seminars, and we do focus a lot on teamwork. And what's your experience of teamwork, Diana? Is that dynamic forum of teaching? Or?
Yeah, it was actually really productive, and I'll add that I had a lot of guest lectures from really big companies. So I think basically all my projects were based in real cases from real companies, and then in the end we presented to these companies. So it was a really good way of experiencing like this professional real life, not just hypothetical situations. But also networking with these big companies. And about the teamwork, I think this is a high aspect here at KTH, because we are from everywhere in the world. So you end up in a group with a lot of with different nationalities and backgrounds. So this is really rich for discussion. So you can end up in a group like with a Brazilian, with a Mexican, with a guy from Rwanda, the other from Hong Kong. So it's really rich discussions, and of course different points of view. So this is something that I really like.
Yep.
About the structure and the teamwork. Yeah.
Yep. And we also have a lot of infrastructure regarding startups, for instance, KTH Innovation, that helps researchers and students form their own companies, as well as the 12 strategic partners that we have within industry, such as Scania or Saab or whatever. That could also be useful when you're finalizing your study with a degree project. I mean, sometimes that is done in collaboration with our industrial partners. Okay, now it's over to admission.
Yes, the admission requirements. So now that we've heard how it is to be at KTH, how do we get here? Well, you need to meet the admissions requirements, of course, and that is a bachelor degree, or the equivalent of a Swedish bachelor's degree, and you also need to show that you have English proficiency, as our master's programs are given in English. So you can do that through a TOEFL or an IELTS test, or through your upper secondary studies. So there are various ways you can do this. And then you also need to meet the program-specific requirements as well. And you can find out all about this at kth.se under the master's program that you're interested in. There are fees for non-EU students or non-EU citizens. So non-EU citizens are required to pay an application fee of 900 Swedish crowns, which is about 100 US dollars right now, and a tuition fee of about 310,000 Swedish crowns, which is about 34,000 US dollars. And that's for most of our 2-year programs. So if you are a tuition fee paying student, we highly encourage you to apply for scholarships. We offer a few here at KTH. We have a KTH scholarship, which is a 1 or 2 year tuition fee waiver, depending on which program you're applying to. We also have a 1-year scholarship that you could apply for during your first year that would cover the tuition fee for the second year. We also have joint program scholarships that you can apply for. So if you're going to spend a semester or a year at KTH, the tuition fee would be waived for that that portion of the program while you're here. And then there's also a KTH India scholarship for Indian citizens that is a tuition fee waiver, and it also includes a living allowance. And then there's also the Swedish Institute that offers about 300 scholarships to students coming to Swedish universities. So that one is a good scholarship to apply for. And then there's a number of external scholarships you can apply for, and we highly encourage you to just check different scholarship portals and find any and all of the scholarships that you could be eligible for.
Yeah, quite a lot, seems to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how do you make your application? There is a national application portal called University Admissions, and all of the universities in Sweden actually use this portal. So you can choose up to 4 programs, and you prioritize them according to your preference. And then you need to gather all of your documents and submit your application by the 15th of January. And then at the same time, because scholarship applications are separate from the admissions, you need to apply for the KTH scholarship, apply for the SI scholarships, and then submit all of your documents by the document deadline, which is the 1st of February, and you need to make sure that you pay the application fee as well. And then on the 9th of April, that is when you will get your admissions decision.
Yay. Okay.
Yeah, I can add that it's a simple application, but it has different steps that you must be really aware of. I've been receiving some questions regarding the application, and I just answered that you really need to check carefully the requirements, but the steps of application and also the deadlines. It is supposed to be smooth, but since you also use the university admissions website, it might be a bit confusing, but it's not. It's just following the steps correctly.
Yeah. And just again, it's 2 different deadlines. You need to submit your application on the 15th of January, and then you can complete your application with all of the supporting documents by the 1st of February, and make sure that you pay your application fee on the 1st of February as well. All right. And so if you are admitted to KTH, that means that you need to apply for accommodation and apply for a residence permit so that you can come here in August.
Yeah.
And we offer an arrival service. There's an introduction week and different language classes, both in English and in Swedish. Diana, how was it when you arrived here?
Yeah, it was actually really fun. KTH offers this a ride with the KTH bus from the airport straight to the university, and that is for you arriving in a new country. It's super useful with all your bags and stuff. But there are also plenty of activities during the first week at KTH. So I remember I participated on this tour on the Nobel Museum, and then there was an activity with the ice hockey team from KTH. Yeah. But there are plenty of activities. You can just register. Most of them are free. There are some barbecues. So the things that you won't be alone, and if you feel you have no friends, you make friends this week, because everyone is in the same situation as you.
Cool.
Yeah. And again, there are plenty of contacts you can take. There's a master's coordinator that you can always get in touch with for your academic questions. And then we also offer counseling and health services and support for students with disabilities as well. So
What do you do after you graduate is a big question, of course. Well, there are numerous different pathways. KTH being the leading supplier of CEOs for Swedish industry for a number of years. That will be the combination of business and engineering, what I think most employers find very useful. The second middle picture there is from the fair, or the THS Armada Fair, which is the largest career fair here at KTH, where 150 plus companies present themselves and try to find new recruitments. We'll see how that will work out in these COVID times, but we're engineers, so we'll figure a way out, I guess. There's a wide selection of different employers. These would be the top 10 employers, or 12, for students graduating in 2018. Ericsson, for instance, and Scania being sort of very traditional, mature Swedish manufacturing companies. But there are others as well, within finance and telecom. And KTH, for instance, is also a large employer of our master's students. The first job after KTH, well, the thing is, I do a lot of teaching at the master level, and my experience is that most students have a job in their final year or in their fourth year, perhaps in the third year as well. So they might not turn up for each and every lecture. So employability is very high. And when you're done, and if you're not sure whether to go back to your home country or stay and make Sweden your new home, you're allowed to stay another year looking for job opportunities. And one way of finding a job is actually to do your degree project together with a company. I mean, we do have a portal at KTH that lists the sort of 500 plus projects that companies would like to get help with from our students. So 1 out of 5 gets their first job through ProjectWorks. And also 1 out of 7 start their own company after sort of graduating from KTH. And you'll be not alone. I mean, we have 80,000 alumni all over the world. We have 10 chapters all around the world, from Bangkok to New York. So KTH is everywhere to some extent. And I said that KTH, oh, sorry.
No. I can just add that I will actually start my thesis next semester. So it will start early January, and hopefully I'll be done by late May or early June, I think. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to do now, to contact a company just to voluntarily present myself and present my proposals so I can really write with a company. And I think that's probably the best way to not only let the company know your work, but for you also to know the company, that it can be a future employee. So I think it's a really good exchange of knowledge. But I'm on this stage now looking for companies, and of course we talked about a lot of opportunities, and indeed there are a lot of opportunities. But I must say that they don't just fall from the sky. You really need to go after them. So some companies open these vacancies for with their proposal that they want to develop with the students, or you can voluntarily present yourself and bring an idea, and this is how things work. But that's my initial plan.
Wish you good luck. I'm sure it's going to be great for you.
And another way to pursue a career is to continue with getting a PhD. And that is also something becoming increasingly more popular. Roughly 30% of all master students pursue a PhD here. And it's somewhat different from other countries in that you actually get employed by KTH. And we put out ad for all our vacant PhD positions once a month. And we have quite a lot. We have 2,000 PhD students here. And more than half of them are actually international students. So, and we talked about Swedish or English before. I mean, English is the way we communicate in most departments here, because we have a lot of international staff. So it's 3 years of research and 1 year of courses. Typically, you would take the coursework when you start, and then you're done with that. Then you pursue your research career. So this is also something that is becoming increasingly popular, to pursue a PhD here at KTH. And now, student life.
Student life. Let's
Now
hear it.
the fun part. Yeah, I actually realized I don't take as many pictures as I thought I had. But anyway, I think I grabbed some good ones. So to start with the library, is where we are right now. It's one of my favorite spots to study. As you can see, it's really nice. And I'm pretty sure future students will be here quite a lot as well. But there also, I've learned that Swedes love to be outside, even on really cold days. Is that true, Bjorn?
It's healthy.
And I didn't understand why, but now, like you can see, there are so many beautiful views, and it's so close to nature that and there are so many fresh air. It's actually really good to be outside and be on this outdoor activities. So this is me outside. Right below there's a ice hockey match. It was my first time experiencing this kind of sports, and no, it wasn't me playing.
I was gonna ask.
Next time.
Next time. And of course, this was a pre-COVID picture. Yeah, I have no idea how this is going to be in the future, but yeah, it's a big sport here, and it's actually pretty fun to watch. Then there's also me eating a semla, which is a really good bun they have here. It's actually they just sell in a certain period of the year, and I know Sweden is known for their kanelbully, that's a cinnamon bun, but this one is much better. So write down this name and and try on later, because it's actually really good. And I think this is Sweden in a dish, because it's super Swedish, I would say, and it's really good. I mean, either you love it or hate it, because it's a herring. But it's really good, super fresh. It's really common on summer, I guess.
And Christmas.
And Christmas.
Easter, whenever, weekends.
But it's actually pretty tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a couple of So these are actually all Stockholm pictures, and I know it's really easy to relate Sweden to snow and gray days, like the pictures in the left, which I love. But I want the future students to stick with the picture of the middle in their minds, because that was actually taken last summer here near Stockholm. And it was my first summer here in Sweden, and it was absolutely awesome, because I wasn't expecting to be that warm and like that summer vibes, but it was really fun, and there are many lakes, of course, around, and many islands. You can just grab a boat and go with your friends, have a couple of beers. It's really fun. It's and the water is cold for a Brazilian, but
So you did go swimming.
yeah, but it's still super fun. Yeah, the picture on the top right is me and the other student ambassadors. So one thing that we didn't mention that I might highlight now, that each course has this student ambassador, and you can contact us. So this is just a few of them there. And to finalize, just a picture taken in the Students' Union building. And there's this small phrase that I like a lot. It's a bit cliche, but it's true. And yeah, I hope it inspire future students at KTH to know, that knowledge is power.
Well, on that note, that takes us to the end of our presentation. So I can just reiterate that for all of the master's programs, you can find the information on our website, kth.se. And also you can follow us on any of these social media channels and subscribe to our KTH newsletter. And you can also get in touch with our student ambassadors like Diana.
Yeah, you just need to go to the course you're interested in, and in the end you will find out which student you should contact if you want a student perspective, an honest student perspective of the course. If you want to take, if you want to ask about the specific course or the life in Stockholm, just feel free. I'm pretty sure me and the other student ambassadors will be pretty happy to answer and help future students.
Wonderful. So now we have time for a few questions.
Thank you for the presentation. We have received a lot of questions here in the back room. And the first one is, what are the biggest challenges for students to complete the courses?
Yeah, that's a good question. We can take the professor's perspective and then the student's perspective. My experience is that there's a lot of distractions. Obviously, you're living in the capital of Scandinavia. You can go skating or playing ice hockey or go to the pub. We have a very rich student life here as well. So there's a lot of things that could be meddling with your academic career. So a lack of focus, I would say sometimes, that you do other things or you work too much, part-time or evenings perhaps. Because we have really bright students, but sometimes they tend to get distracted maybe.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think here you have the right facilities to study, you have really good teachers, you have a really good relationship with the teachers in a really horizontal way. Like you have your teacher's phone number. I've never seen this anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to get in contact and yeah. So I would say mostly distractions, and if your focus is not really on the studies or somewhere else or work or yeah, but I would say if you're focused on the studies, you can complete the course in time. Yeah.
Yeah. Neat.
Are scholarships given on the basis of academic record?
Yes, scholarships are, well, they're evaluated on a few different factors. So academic excellence is definitely the primary factor, but then we also look at extracurricular experience, if you've been published or if you have relevant work experience, and then also the ranking of the university that you've taken your bachelor's as well is factored in.
Does KTH recommend work experience from incoming students?
I think from an admissions perspective, some of the programs they do ask for a CV or letters of recommendation, and that would be listed as a program-specific requirement. Diana, was that one of the requirements for you?
Yeah, but it differs from course to course, so it's really important to check on the course you're interested in. But for the real estate and construction management, I can say that they ask letter of motivation, letter of recommendation, and work experience. So it can be a CV or...
Yeah, so again, it can depend
Yeah.
just based on which program you're interested in applying to.
Neat.
Thanks. Another question is it possible to start part-time work while doing a master's?
Yeah, I would say that it's become increasingly common that students tend to work part-time. It could be part in that the living expenses could be kind of high in Stockholm in comparison with other university cities in Sweden. But yeah, it's doable, I would say. You might give some
Yeah.
additional insights.
Yeah,
Diana.
I know it. You are allowed to part-time work if you have the residence permit as a non-European student, and as a European student you're allowed as well. So you can do it, but it's really important to manage your time for work and studies, because many of the classes are not mandatory, so it's really easy to just skip them, but I wouldn't say this is the best choice if you're really focused on studies.
Because participating in lectures is also a way of saving time. Actually.
Yeah.
So.
but you can work. It's a personal choice.
Yeah.
Is there a tuition fee or application fee for EU citizens?
No, only non-EU citizens are required to pay the application fee.
And how many students are there generally in one program?
I would say it differs from program to program. Could be anywhere from like 40, 50 up to 100 per program or even more. But the classes tend to be smaller in that you might have a couple of mandatory courses in the beginning, but then you specialize within the program. So I would say at the end you might be 20, 30 or 40 within a given course, up to a 60. But it very much dependent on the program and your interest. But classes tend to be smaller at the end of your education. And at the very end it's only you or possibly a companion who are doing the degree project work. So you're left to your own.
Can the selection results be released earlier than the 9th of April?
No. So even if you apply now, the application period is open now, and the deadline is the 15th of January. It doesn't matter when you apply. Everybody who makes an application receives the notification on the same day. So you will find out if you're admitted on the 9th of April.
Exciting date.
Yeah.
Indeed. So what are some of the essential things to bring while coming to Sweden? Stockholm.
Oh, that's for you, Diana.
Yeah, I would say not much, but like if you're from a tropical country as I am, I would say to leave to buy heavy winter clothes here, since yeah, I think it might be a bit better than bring it from your home country if you're from a tropical country like Brazil.
Yeah.
But I would say here in Sweden, the average price of clothes, shoes, and other stuff are a bit higher than in other countries. So it might be smart to bring some things from home. But I would say you don't need much as a student.
Okay. But did you bring any fur hats or something like that from Brazil, or did you buy it here?
Yeah, we don't use
You
them.
don't use it. Yeah. That's
Let's
your-
bring one home.
Yeah.
No, so winter clothing you buy here, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, because you find proper clothes here, and yeah. So
Yeah.
not much. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. How are the studies at KTH affected by COVID-19?
Ooh, wow. I can take it from the professor's perspective again. We tend to do blended teaching right now, in that we use online tools such as Zoom primarily, where we have lectures and seminars. And I have actually been teaching a course in Introduction to Real Estate. We actually allowed 50 students in the classroom. So it was a combination of Zoom and on-campus teaching. And that was for the first year. Year 2, 3, 4, 5 has been more into online teaching as of now.
Yeah, I now have all my classes online, but I would say the first period, it was April, when Corona just hit. I think it was a challenge for both students and professors. So it was a bit like, what are we doing? So it was a bit messy in the beginning, but for this period, I think all students participated on this feedback survey, so they improved a lot. So the classes are much better organized now. Yeah, I think the whole world passed through some adjustments, but I now have all my classes online, but I know it depends also, so it's a bit mixed on campus and online.
Yeah, and as you can see right now, I mean, there are a lot of students on campus interacting in different ways. So,
Yeah.
but the most teaching is online, but students are here to hang out.
Thank you. Next question. How much Swedish do I have to learn to get around in Sweden and finding a job?
What do you say, Diana? How much Swedish do you have to know?
How much do you
In
know?
theory, I'm learning. In theory, you don't need Swedish because I think every Swede can speak really good English. But I would strongly recommend to learn a basic as a way to connect with the culture and to know other Swedes and to understand the Swedish lifestyle. Yeah, but I'm learning now. It's a process. I'm on that stage that I start a conversation really confident, but if something goes out of the script, I just I just want to faint and,
That's your cue
and
to
call
leave.
my mom to go back go back to my country. But it's a process. But I strongly recommend it to learn. But no, you don't necessarily need, although some jobs actually require Swedish, but more international companies, yeah, it has a more international context.
And then the corporate language would be English in big companies. And a lot of the startup companies at KTH is also started, I mean, by an international crowd, like researchers and students. So English will get you a long way,
Yeah.
I would say. Hur mår du?
Jag mår bra.
Okay,
Very good. See, you see?
brilliant.
Great. So we are receiving a lot of questions about the KTH scholarship. So here is 2 in 1. Do KTH scholarship cover accommodation? And can I apply for the KTH scholarship and the Swedish Institute scholarship for the same program?
So to answer the first part of the question, does the KTH scholarship cover accommodations? Unfortunately not. The KTH scholarship is a tuition fee waiver. And then the second part of the question, if you should apply for the Swedish Institute scholarship for the same program, yes, because the KTH scholarship application is completely separate from the Swedish Institute. And also, just to say, that the KTH scholarship, it needs to be, your application needs to be for the program that you select as your first priority. And so you would only be able to get the KTH scholarship for that program.
So, question about student life. Are there sports and cultural activities that you can take part in while studying at KTH?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there are plenty of sports you can join. There are some teams. I was part of the basketball, not the team, but the training session once. In this first week of activities at KTH, you can get to know most of them, since they had this stance that you can ask for information, and they're always posting when they have this open training, so you can join. So I would say there are plenty of the ice hockey team
You have
is
a hockey
really.
team, yeah. You should try
I'm
out.
talking about a lot of ice hockey. Like
Next
I
semester,
play a
come on.
lot. I don't play a lot. I don't play at all. But their team is quite big, I think. But there are, I would say, I know there are this volleyball team, football, the basketball. So yeah, there are plenty of.
We have a theater association, a wine club as well. So
Really?
if you're into culture,
Oh.
yeah.
That's good. I didn't know that. Let me have some
For
notes
professors
here.
only. Yeah. So we do have quite a lot of different, depending on your interests, that you can participate
Yeah, and I
in.
would add that it's during winter it's really important for you to just find something, a sport or something that makes you active, because it can be really dark, and yeah, it's good to move your body.
You don't want to hibernate. No.
Yeah.
We have time for one more live question, and that is there a limit for the students that will be selected for a master program?
Yeah, depending on the program, we do have a fixed number of students that we do admit, and that depends on the program actually. So even though they might have fantastic grades from the bachelor level, we have a cap when it comes to how many we can admit to each and every program.
All right. Well, I guess that brings us to the end. So I would like to thank you for joining us for this webinar today. Thank you, Björn. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you.
I would like you to, well, for the audience, please register for upcoming webinars. There's one for each school coming up. And just so that you know, the chat will be open for 1 more hour. So if you did not receive an answer to your question, please continue to submit them, and we will answer your questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Kim.
you.